10 Sinister Stories from the Old Mill, tales of shadows, echoes, and haunting whispers. The Watcher in the Shadows. The old mill had long been abandoned, its rusting machinery and crumbling walls a testament to a bygone era. Workers and trespassers alike often reported seeing a shadowy figure watching them from the rafters. One night, a security guard named Tom decided to investigate the rumors. Armed with a flashlight and a sense of bravado, he ventured into the mill, his footsteps echoing in the cavernous space. As he reached the upper levels, he saw it, a dark, indistinct shape staring down at him. Tom's flashlight flickered, casting eerie shadows across the room. The figure moved, disappearing into the darkness. Tom's heart raced as he followed, calling out, "Who's there?" But only silence answered. That night, Tom returned home, but his sleep was plagued by nightmares of the figure. Each night, the whispers grew louder, calling his name until he could bear it no more. One morning, Tom was gone. His colleagues found his flashlight abandoned in the mill, still flickering as if waiting for him to return. The echoes of despair. One evening, a group of friends decided to explore the old mill, drawn by tales of paranormal activity. As they wandered through the dark, dusty corridors, they heard the faint sound of a woman's cries. Intrigued and unnerved, they followed the sound, which led them to a locked room. The door was old and brittle, and with a few forceful pushes, it gave way. Inside, the room was empty, save for a single worn-out shoe and a diary lying on the floor. The diary belonged to a woman named Emily, who had worked at the mill many years ago. Her entries detailed a life of hardship and sorrow, culminating in a tragic accident that claimed her life. As the friends read the diary, the cries grew louder, filling the room with a sense of despair. Unable to bear the oppressive atmosphere, they fled the mill. To this day, Emily's cries can still be heard by those brave enough to enter the old mill at night. The Haunting Whispers. Dr. Harold Green, a local historian with a keen interest in the paranormal, decided to spend a night in the old mill to document any supernatural occurrences. Equipped with recording devices and a notepad, he settled in for the night. As he reviewed his recordings the next day, he was shocked to hear faint whispers interspersed with his own notes. "Help me, and they won't let me go," the voices pleaded. The whispers grew louder each night he spent in the mill, filling his mind with dread. Despite his attempts to leave, the voices followed him, infiltrating his dreams and daily life. Dr. Green's once rational mind began to unravel as the whispers became deafening. His colleagues found him one morning, a shadow of his former self, muttering to himself and scribbling incoherent notes. The whispers had claimed another victim, adding his voice to their haunting chorus. The Forgotten Foreman. The old mill had a foreman named George, known for his strict and demanding nature. One fateful day, George met a gruesome end when he was caught in the machinery. His death was swift, but left an indelible mark on the mill. Over the years, many who ventured into the mill reported seeing a spectral figure resembling George. His face twisted in pain and rage, tools would mysteriously move, and the sounds of machinery starting up on its own would echo through the empty building. One night, a local mechanic named Joe decided to debunk the stories. Armed with skepticism and a toolkit, he entered the mill. As he worked, he felt an icy chill and heard the unmistakable clanking of machinery. Joe looked up to see the ghostly figure of George staring at him, eyes full of fury. Terrified, Joe ran, but he never made it out. His disappearance remains a mystery, and the legend of the foreman continues to haunt the old mill. The cursed machinery. A wealthy entrepreneur purchased the old mill with plans to renovate it into a modern factory. However, every attempt to refurbish the building was met with strange and dangerous accidents. Workers reported hearing the grinding of gears and distant screams, even when the machinery was inactive. Tools would go missing, and structural problems seemed to arise out of nowhere. One day, a construction worker named Sam stumbled upon an old journal hidden in the walls. The journal detailed the numerous lives claimed by the mill's machinery over the years. It spoke of a curse placed on the building by the families of those who had died. The accidents continued, and the new owner decided to abandon the renovation, leaving the mill to decay. The cursed machinery remained silent but ever present, a testament to the tragedies that occurred within its walls. The ghostly laborers, locals often spoke of ghostly figures seen working in the old mill, their faces blank and eyes hollow. Intrigued by these tales, a group of paranormal investigators decided to spend a night in the building. Equipped with cameras and recording devices, they set up in various parts of the mill. As the night progressed, they began to see the ghostly laborers moving silently and tirelessly through the decrepit machinery. The investigators felt an overwhelming sense of dread, as if the spirits were begging for release from their eternal labor. One investigator, Sarah, felt a cold hand grasp hers and heard a whisper, "Free us." The experience left her shaken, and the team decided to leave. Despite their equipment capturing eerie footage, they knew the spirits remained trapped, bound to the mill by their tragic past. The Phantom Fire. Decades ago, a catastrophic fire engulfed the old mill, trapping many workers inside. Though the mill was rebuilt, the tragedy left a lasting scar. Locals claimed that on certain nights, a bright light could be seen flickering in the windows, accompanied by the smell of smoke. One evening, a passerby named Mark saw the fire and rushed to help, only to find the mill intact and eerily silent upon arrival. Determined to uncover the truth, Mark returned the next night. As he approached the mill, the flickering light appeared again, and he heard faint screams and the crackling of flames. This time, he ventured inside and saw ghostly figures engulfed in fire, reliving their final moments. Mark fled in terror, vowing never to return. The Phantom Fire remains an eerie reminder of the mill's tragic past, seen only by those brave or foolish enough to seek it out. The Screaming Siren. The mill's old siren, used to signal the start and end of shifts, was disconnected years ago. However, at midnight, it sometimes blares to life, accompanied by screams. Those who hear it are said to experience severe nightmares for weeks. One night, a local DJ named Mike, intrigued by the stories, decided to record the siren. He set up his equipment outside the mill and waited. As the clock struck midnight, the siren erupted, its wail piercing the silence. Mike's recording captured not only the siren, but also the chilling screams that followed. He played the recording on his radio show, and listeners reported experiencing the same nightmares described in the legends. Mike, too, was haunted by the siren's wail, unable to escape the terrifying dreams. The siren continues to scream, a haunting echo of the past. The Lost Child. Children from a nearby town often played around the old mill, despite warnings from their parents. One day, a young boy named Timmy went missing. His friends claimed they saw him follow a ghostly figure into the building. Desperate to find him, the townspeople searched the mill but found no trace of Timmy. The only clue was his favorite toy, left near the entrance. Years passed, but Timmy's laughter can still be heard around the mill, mingling with the eerie creaks and groans of the old structure. A local teacher named Mrs. Jenkins, who had known Timmy, decided to investigate. As she wandered through the mill, she heard the faint sound of a child's laughter and followed it. The laughter led her to a hidden room where she found a dusty, old photograph of Timmy and other children from long ago. Mrs. Jenkins left the mill, her heart heavy with the realization that Timmy's spirit was forever bound to the place he loved. The Eternal Dance. In the early 1900s, a pair of dancers named Lily and Edward worked at the mill. They were inseparable, practicing their routines in the mill's large open spaces. Tragically, they were killed in an accident when a support beam collapsed. On certain nights, witnesses claimed to hear the sound of music and see the couple dancing through the mill, their movements graceful yet sorrowful. A professional dancer named Emma, curious about the tales, decided to spend a night in the mill. As midnight approached, she heard the faint strains of a waltz. Entranced, she followed the music and saw Lily and Edward dancing, their ghostly forms shimmering in the moonlight. Emma felt an inexplicable urge to join them and found herself waltzing alongside the spirits. The next morning, locals found Emma still dancing, her eyes vacant and unseeing. She had become part of the eternal dance, forever bound to the mill and its ghostly inhabitants.